Greetings everyone. Itch always away. Start the video and I have an itch. So today I'm doing a video in the car. It's actually the day, it's a Tuesday because normally I like to get these out on a Wednesday, but I'm off out tomorrow. So I thought, you know what, why not make use of the light, even though it is 4:30 in the evening, afternoon, evening, what I want to call it. And the light is dying, but I thought I'd make use of the light and record the video today. So there you go. I just want to continue on from like what I was talking about last week, the history, or at least my history in IT and some of the things I've seen and done. And I think that last week, I think I more or less did, the bits and bobs in the first company I worked for, but moving on to the second company, there was quite a few fun and interesting things I did there because I learned quite a lot. But the one thing that sticks in my mind, one of the very first things I did, so the role that I did there was more test and development, and the way testing was done, at least then, was you wrote test scripts. And when I say test scripts, I mean on a piece of paper. I'm not talking about sort of an electronic script. It was actually a piece of paper that you kind of put the data that you were input into the system and your expected results. So you had to write this and then produce it and then run it, right? And so I actually did quite a lot of that through the time, and I've got a lot of stories on that. But the very first thing I did, there was we needed a sign off of the particular piece of the system that we were working on. And the software was written by another, I don't know if it's written by the same company that we work for or another company, because the company that I worked for was a very large company and they contracted a lot of this work out. But I seem to remember it was like we had this thing that we had to sign off, because the sign off was the first stage, and then it was like then the company that buying the product paid for the testing from that point. So they wanted to obviously get signed off. And so the system wasn't without issue, shall we say, at that time. And so to put it into context, data from the system was recorded on a tape deck, right? So this is, there was a hard drive in there, but we're talking back in the day when, large hard drives were, 1 terabyte maybe, not even that probably. And probably more like 10 gigabyte, to be honest, these days. I think, maybe even that, yeah. But anyway, the tape deck, I believe that I'm trying to remember the exact size. Now I can't remember if it was something like 50 gigabyte or 5 gigabyte. I'm not quite sure the size of the data tape now. As I say, it's been, 20 something, nearly going on 30 years ago almost. Another few more years, it will be 30 years. But the tape deck was kind of like, if you look at the VHS recorder tape decks, it was kind of like that. It was like a VHS cassette almost, but much larger. And it was this tape deck. And the way you kind of pulled the data off or replayed the data was you had to basically cycle the tape through till you hit the point of the data you wanted to view and replay into the system. So you could actually, it's basically monitoring what went on. And I seem to remember at the time there was a few issues. What was it? The issue wasn't the data, but it was the headers for the data that was sometimes would corrupt. And so the idea was they wanted to get to a part of the tape that basically had a valid header. And so I remember I was asked to write an application, a small application that basically read the headers of every block, and then basically chose the headers that weren't corrupted. Which seems a bit ridiculous now, because at the end of the day, everything should have been non-corrupted. But at the time there was, I don't know why it was corrupted, because obviously I didn't write the software and I wasn't even heading I was like a graduate employee, so I had no kind of knowledge of why this corruption was happening. Maybe it was something to do with the fact that it was being written to tape. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But anyway, the job was to write a small application that basically read the bytes of the header and matched them against what would be correct. So kind of the size and the date and etc. in there. I remember I did that, and I actually had to then give a list of time slots on the tape to the guys in my team who were kind of trying to get this thing signed off, and then they would funny, I've got a black line outside. Anyway, they would then use that information to when they were trying to kind of show this system running. So yeah, interesting kind of way of testing and sign off back then. Obviously it's a lot better now, and you know, looking back at it, it's kind of a very hacky way of dealing with this. I'm not quite sure why I was asked to. I mean, I know why I was asked to do it. But I'm not quite sure what the push was to get this signed off when they knew potentially there were issues of the software. Those issues were resolved through time, because obviously the system, I won't name it, but has been used for many years now, and is probably still in use, to be honest. So that was resolved over time, but at the time it just seems like, what am I doing here? What am I writing this? But it was a really good learning experience of how to read data from sources, because obviously you had to read it from the tape deck interface. So yeah, that was my kind of second real big task that I did in IT, going back to something like 1997 or 1998. Shows how long ago it was. So anyway, that's this week. I think that if there's many stories I've got coming, I think I'll share them, just if people are interested, and just in case my memory ever goes, I've got them logged down on tape. But yeah, I'm going now. Speak to you all another time, maybe next Wednesday, maybe sometime before then. Bye for now.